Hi, I'm Genna,
And I'm Noreen,
and welcome back to This Way Up
where we talk all things city life, self-love.
and all the bits in between.
And this episode, we're actually going to talk about something in our intro itself, which is living in the city.
And the financial implications of living in the city alone.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. And I feel like not everybody even talks about it. And there's so many pros, but also as many cons. And
Yeah.
like trying to figure out like what's the best option for you. Because we have the option of one, living by yourself, living with roommates potentially,
Yeah.
or living at home. But
Yeah.
what made us choose living out of the house by yourself, and how do you manage it?
Yeah, I think we're going to take a bit of a financial lens to things, like figure out this discussion through the lens of how do you afford certain things? What are the pros and cons in terms of these costs to living alone versus the costs to be saving that money and living with your family. We're kind of going to dig into all of that. So why don't we start with what made you say, hey, I'm going to move out of my parents' home? Because I remember when you did it, previously you were commuting. You were going to university, you'd commute from your parents' place, and then at some point you said, no, I'm going to move out, I'm going to be alone. There was also a period where you were, it wasn't even tied to your job that you had to be downtown, but you still chose to come move into the city. Like, what was the rationale?
I think for me, it was, well, obviously school was really hectic.
Yeah.
And it was kind of impossible working with my schedule and, having to be downtown for school 5 days a week. And my schedule was just not the great when you're in a STEM program. So it made most sense to live close to campus. So I was able to, manage my time better, focus on what's important, and, not be exhausted. Because to be completely frank, I know I'm commuting to work now for the 2 days I have in person, but I get tired. It's tiring. Even though you're not the one driving, you're still tired when you're on the train, when you're having to move. So yeah, it just made sense to move out for that.
100%. I think it makes sense. Same thing for me. I moved. I could have commuted it. It would have been very, very hectic. So I wanted to move out. I spent some time living with roommates. Now I'm living alone. So I've kind of done all of it. There was a year I did co-op where I stayed home with my family. So I kind of did all of it. And it's clearly there's a winner in terms of saving money. Living at home, if you have the option to, is a great way to save money, right? A lot of the friends I have also do that currently, and it's very clear that will save you a lot of money in the long run. But I don't know, it's a choice to be made. There's pros and cons. I feel like when you live out there in the city, especially for university, and then you have to move back, that's a big transition when you go back home.
Yeah.
Right? You have to get used to the idea of I can't just walk out of the house. No one cares where I'm going anymore. It's not the same. You have to get used to living in that community style environment every day. And sure, you save a lot of money, but there's things you don't experience as well, I would say, right? That sense of independence, having to fend for yourself. And when I say fend for yourself, I mean do all the things, laundry, food, after a long day of work, coming home and just having to make yourself a meal when that is the last thing you want to do is a lot.
It is 1,000%. There's it's funny because the more you talk about it, you're like, oh my God, why do I do so many things? I could just live at home. That's still an option on the table. But I feel like there's so many pros to being able to live by yourself, in your 20s.
Yeah.
First of all, the fact that we're in a city where everything is just so accessible. I'm able to walk to go to the grocery store. I'm able to walk to go to the mall. I'm able to walk to go to my workout studio. I'm able to walk to just take a walk and go to the lake. I like the accessibility of that, but also there's a sense of independence and you have a lot more responsibilities on you. And I think that really shapes you and helps you become more disciplined as a human being.
I think so. I think it forces you to take on a lot of responsibility. It sounds silly, but the little things around the house become your responsibility, right? If something's not working, how often do you call in a handy person versus you have to kind of dig into it and be like, what is wrong with this, laundry machine? What is wrong with a shower curtain?
Or as simple as changing a fucking light bulb.
Yeah. Changing a light bulb You'd be surprised. Yeah, it takes a lot of motivation, like when you're living alone, to kind of have to do it.
Yeah.
I can't just like, be like, Dad, come help. Like, no,
Yeah.
this is me having to get up, figure out the situation, learn something new about something around the house, and then go do it. So I think it teaches you a lot. And I think the most important thing that comes into play when you live alone is it really, really teaches you the value of money. I feel like things aren't being magically replenished in the fridge anymore and the snack cabinet anymore. You're the one doing the shopping, understanding budgeting, understanding where the money's going. I feel like that very, very keen sense of where my cash flow is going and, whether I'm making smart financial decisions becomes so much the highlight of what you're taking in on a day-to-day basis. It becomes like very much in the forefront of what you're thinking about constantly.
Yeah.
Like, how can I make sure that month to month I feel comfortable? I'm making smart financial decisions, but I'm making the most of life as well. And that is something that gets really drilled into your head, I think, when you live alone.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I also think, like, I remember when I was like living at home when I was a student and I was working just like regular jobs, I would have all that money to do whatever I want with it.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't matter what I spent it on. But now it's like, do I need this thing or do I want this thing? Am I even going to use it more than once?
Yeah.
And you think a billion times before actually purchasing something, because you're just like, I could have saved that $50 for something else. I could have saved this for my electricity bill or whatever it is. But it's like you make a lot more like smarter decisions when it comes to your finances. And it's funny because when you were talking about like the fridge doesn't get replenished by itself, the snack cabinet doesn't get replenished by itself, I actually find myself making healthier choices for the food that I eat because I'm like, I don't think I want to spend, $10 on getting like this 30 pack of granola bars because it's serving me nothing right now. So I think it kind of subconsciously makes me make better decisions for the food that I eat.
Yeah, because I feel like, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like implicitly there is the sense of I need to make good decisions because I'm making all these decisions, because I've been thrust with like all these different decisions to make on a daily basis. What goes in the fridge? What goes in the cabinets? What am I spending my disposable part of my income on? You get this implicit sense of, hey, I need to make good decisions right now.
Yeah.
Right? Because I just have so much responsibility. So I don't know. I feel like it's been worth it. I have to say it's hard sometimes. It feels stressful, and sometimes I wish I could just run back and live with my family. But I think it's worth it. I feel like it's taught me a lot, and it continues to teach me a lot because I think there's so much that I still have to perfect or even like learn to manage that I haven't been able to, just because this takes time. Like
1,000%.
we're still in our like now almost mid-20s.
Don't remind me.
Yeah, so it's like there's still a lot we gotta learn. I feel like the one thing that happens is you stress out a lot because you don't understand. You haven't perfected it yet. Maybe in your 30s, you've perfected the art of like, hey, this is how much my sandbox is. Like, this is how much I have to play with in terms of my finances per month. I know exactly how much is going where. I feel like because we haven't perfected that yet, it becomes a source of stress where it's like, I have to police myself right now and make sure I'm making good financial decisions. But like, I'm young and there's so much I want to do and not miss out on.
Yeah.
And so I need to let myself go and let myself make sometimes not the smartest decisions so I can experience things. So I feel like that becomes a constant conundrum for me, right? Like, should I stay in and cook a boring meal, or should I go out right now and just like go to that nice place with my friends because it's going to make for a great memory?
Yeah, I struggle with that so much too, because it's like I could make a financially responsible decision, but sometimes you have to be like, well, I know I'm going to end up spending like $50 on a night out, but is this $50 going to kill me if I don't save it? Not necessarily. And that's okay. So sometimes you do need to make decisions where you just let yourself live a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it becomes a little bit of a balancing act. Because in my head, I'm like, okay, well, I went out a lot more than I should have this month. So maybe next month I won't do it as much. And it's like, it's literally a balancing act. You're like, okay, well, I can do a little bit more this time, so I'll do a little bit less next time. And yeah.
You know how there's a thing known as like intuitive eating. I think I do intuitive spending. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have a financial tracker, a budget that I like strictly align with, which I wish I could do, but I just feel like that would be placing so much extra stress on me. Like, another rule to follow to the T for a type A person is like, oh my goodness, too much. So, like, I just feel like intuitively I do that balancing act where I'm like, I should forego this.
Yeah.
I spent on that. You know, like, let's find a middle ground here. And I feel like it's been working-ish. And I feel like it'll get better with time. I mean, logically speaking, when you're in your 20s, you're not making the highest income you're going to in your life, hopefully, right? There is that idea of I want to keep growing financially, career-wise. I want to get to a point where I'm a lot more comfortable. And I feel like your lifestyle, sure, will fluctuate and might get a little bit more lavish as you go up there. But for the most part, if you learn to live a lifestyle right now where you're not overly extending yourself, then as you get up there in your career with the years that come and maybe the income that follows, it's only easier.
Yeah.
You feel even more comfortable because you've learned to like maintain a certain lifestyle at a certain goalpost. And now as you traverse more like goalposts, you can still maintain a lifestyle and be comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, I've actually seen this so much. And I think living alone, living in the city, managing your own expenses really helps. But I've seen a lot of videos where people mention that as people's income grows, they grow their lifestyle with it, but not at a responsible rate. So, like, let's say you're saving $50 a month when, you're in your 20s, not working the highest salary that you have, you learn to live like minimally. But let's say you're not the most financially responsible person, but let's say in the next 2 years you jump to a higher salary, and all of a sudden you start purchasing more expensive stuff, and now you're still saving $50 a month, and you're not really, again, growing with that. But I think living alone really helps you identify like, well, I can make do with what I have. And then again, it's like, well, do I need to purchase this right now, or can it wait? Do I need it? Do I want it? Or is it essential? Like, it helps you kind of bucket those things in and filter out, okay, well, I can save for the next 3 months and purchase this comfortably versus like, I can purchase this right now, but again, I don't know if I want to purchase this right now. So I think that really helps filter it out. And as you learn that skill of filtering it out, when your career grows, when the income grows with your career, inevitably, like, you continue those habits on, and you inevitably end up saving a lot more when you grow older, grow with your income, and you're able to identify those exact patterns with the new purchases that you want. Whether right now it's a piece of clothing that I want, and maybe in 20 years, whether it's a house,
hopefully,
like a lawnmower or something.
I don't know about a house in the Toronto market, but like a house. Yeah. I think completely agreed. I think this is such a skill that comes with time, and I feel like some people have an innate sense of control that is crazy sharp, and some people it just takes some time, or you're somewhere in between, right? And I think especially in your 20s, one thing that follows trying to be financially responsible versus treading the line of like not letting yourself have fun, I feel like a lot of it comes down to comparison. Sometimes it's very hard when you're still figuring out that early stage of your career, and you've just gotten out of university where you've kind of been always at the same kind of goalpost as your peers. It becomes hard not to look sideways and think, whoa, am I not doing this right? Like, financially, should I be in a different position financially right now? Because, hey, like, my friends are not at this position that I'm at. So I think a lot of that like comparison comes in, and I feel like we're also at the stage, for the most part in your 20s, where you're still becoming as decisive as you will be in your lifetime. Like, you're not there yet, though. You're not decisive about who you are and like what you value. So sometimes it becomes, I'm trying to do too much all at once. I'm getting like dragged. You know what I mean? I'm trying to have that like great savings, that discipline, but also I'm trying to do everything and have fun and try out everything, and it becomes way too like intimidating. So I almost think it comes down to like fighting the urge to compare yourself financially, as hard as it is sometimes. And it also comes down to like just saying no. I feel like sometimes it's hard to say no and say, like you said, do I need this? Maybe I don't need this right now. Am I doing this to spare like a friend's feelings? Am I doing this to like check off a box so I feel no FOMO tomorrow? Like, do I really want this? I feel like it comes down to that. It's not even like, is this a need or is this a want? It's almost, is this a need? Is this a want financially? Or is this something that's neither? And I feel like I have to do this because I don't know, at least for me, I feel like at this stage of life where you're still figuring out what you want and how things are going to chalk out eventually, you want to try everything so much so that maybe sometimes you don't ask yourself, is this something I need or want?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's really interesting having to like figure it out because like you said, sometimes is it upsetting a friend's feeling because you're not going out? Is it not living in your 20s because you're saying no to yourself? Like, what is it? And I think I kind of find myself just fulfilling my life and like wanting to go out by just taking a walk and not spending $7 on a latte. Like, it's okay. Maybe I just need the walk and I don't need the latte. Like, I can just have a coffee at home. But it's like making sometimes those small compromises. But again, it's the ability of being able to go on a walk whenever I want to and not being able to, like you said, living at home is like more of a community lifestyle, and you're having to be responsible for not just yourself, but like kind of the people that you live with, being on their schedule as much as you are on your own schedule. But again, being on my own schedule makes me have the independence of being able to leave my house whenever, choose my work hours as I want to, go grocery shopping when I need to or when I want to, or go pick up something that I want to, and not really have to be checking in if someone is able to drop me off if there's no car available at home, or is someone at home to take care of someone who is sick or not. Like, I can do as I want, and I have to manage it and understand, is this a responsible decision for myself? And sometimes when it isn't, that's okay, because this is your 20s, and the whole point is you do get to make mistakes, and they're not going to absolutely shatter your entire life, because realistically your 20s is about figuring it out as you go,
or like not figuring it out for a long time and then finally getting there. So it's like everything's just a crisis. Like, everything is just like figuring out, what kind of a crisis am I in right now? How serious are the consequences? Most likely I'm thinking it's a lot worse than it actually is. So most of these years, I feel like right after graduating, are just like being in crisis mode and then talking yourself down and saying, hey, this is not going to matter in 5 years. Take a deep breath. You know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of like my financial decisions also are in that vein, like, YOLO, fuck it, let me just go do it. Oh my god, maybe I shouldn't have done that. This is not going to matter in 5 days. Let alone 5 months, let alone 5 years. So it's like a lot of it is like that. And I feel like that's why I could never be someone that gives financial tips and smart living tips, or like take those as well, because it's just like, I don't think there's like a rote way to learn how to be in a perfect place financially, living in the city, just having graduated. There is no right way to do it. Like, you just have to do what I said earlier, which is intuitive spending. Like, figure out if this feels right. Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel like this is a bit too much? You're overextending yourself? If it is, rein it in. Some people are very good at like getting down to the numbers, maintaining a spreadsheet of what their financial, like what their spending looks like on a week-to-week basis, let alone a month. Others, I don't know, maybe not so much visibility. I think I'm somewhere in the middle where I'm like, intuitively, let me take a look at my spending overall. Maybe I'm not as kind of thorough about exactly where everything is going, but like I'm able to kind of tell if I'm teetering towards one direction or the other in terms of being financially responsible, and then just rein myself in.
Agreed. And I think it's a different situation for everyone. Like, there's no one solution fits all here, because to be completely honest, I started off this year and I made myself a spreadsheet and I haven't opened it. I can't do it. I tried.
So glad you said that, because last year or something, I said, yo, I need to get my budgeting, my spending in check. Spreadsheet. Opened a spreadsheet, made a whole thing where categories of life, food, workouts, etc., etc., etc. This is how much I'm budgeting. This is my overall monthly income. Let's do it. And then I had a section where I actually wanted to fill in all my expenses from my credit card statements. Did that for I want to say 3 days and stopped.
Yeah, I can't do it.
I can't do it.
It's way too much. And for some people it works and it's great.
Good, yeah.
But me personally, I can't do it. Like, I tried, but I think it stresses me out. As you said, it stresses me out more to be like, oh my God, why did I spend that much? So I just don't. But at the same time, I don't know if every single bank has it, but like my primary bank is TD, and they actually have a separate app, which is like a spending app. And what it does is it, like, all of the accounts you have, checking, saving, credit cards, it basically tracks all of them individually, but because it's connected to your bank account already, it'll tell you like immediately when you've had a transaction, and it'll kind of do the graphs for you. Ooh. And it's not as detailed as somebody would make a spreadsheet to be, but it's enough for me to know, okay, well, I've spent this much and my budget was to spend this much, so I know next time, the intuitive spending, maybe I don't need to spend as much next month, or I have a little bit more budget I can work with for next month. So I really like that, but to sit down and put it in manually, not for me.
I really want to coin that, intuitive spending. Intuitive spending is the future, except like I feel like a lot of like sane, more financially responsible people out there would probably listen to this and be like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah. It is in fact about the numbers. Put it down, do the math. But we're just like, no, we just like to intuitively spend and feel like we're comfortable financially, or we're not, and then make decisions accordingly.
Exactly.
Like, you just have to feel it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like you just have to feel it. And like, I know, like you said, people are probably like, it is all about the numbers, but in my head, it's like, it's $5. And is that $5 going to matter to me at the end of 2026 when I look at all of my total spendings versus my savings? Like, I don't think so. Like, I 100%. Probably would have ended up spending that $5 extra on a snack that I bought at a grocery store. Yeah. Whether I spent it on a coffee out or not, I'm going to end up spending that $5 somewhere else. So I don't think it matters down to all of the little numbers. I think it just is, do I feel comfortable this very moment? Am I going to be okay with what's going to be left over in my account or not? Like, I think that's what feels right, is what makes the most sense. And like, speaking about like numbers at the end of it, like, how do you save? Because realistically, when we think about living in the city,
you just don't.
This is a very expensive city to live in. And like, again, we're just at a university. We are not at the height of our careers. And I've heard a lot of people say that, you know, the new 100,000 salary is the previous 70K salary, which I totally understand, because living in the city is expensive. Like, why do I pay more than I should for all the things that I buy? Like, groceries are a little bit more expensive than you'd find them in the suburbs.
It's like super expensive.
Like, going, like, obviously, yes, I could get a gym membership, but I like going to, you know, paying my class pass and picking these workout studios, or the availability of having this many coffee shops around me is very tempting. Like, it is a very expensive city. So how do you manage your month-to-month income and still being able to save? And what does saving even look like and mean to you?
I think saving is... it's hard. I agree. Like, it's close to impossible sometimes. Like, if you're just out of school, like, you're trying to manage all these expenses, you've chosen to like exercise the privilege of living alone. Yes, no, like, undoubtedly that comes from a place of privilege where it's like, hey, I could afford to do this in the first place. That being said, it still makes you feel like you're squeezed in terms of like, hey, I could be saving a lot more money if I didn't have so much of my income going into accommodation, right? It's hard. I feel like I'm trying to think of what the best meaning of saving is to me. For me, where I start is I start with a realistic but a little bit more lenient goal always. That's how I start. I'm like, this is my goal, to save in a month, whatever X amount it is. Like you said, start with $50, $100, whatever. Start with that and say, okay, cool. This is my realistic yet admittedly lenient goal to save. Start there, start doing it. If you feel like, hey, I can push myself a little and I can do a little bit better, then you're only motivating yourself to keep saving a bit more on a monthly basis. I think starting with an unrealistic goal puts you in a position to be disappointed, to be hard on yourself, and to feel like you're failing. Yeah. And that's what I've learned for a long time. I always put very hard, difficult restrictions on myself, or like goals, like very, very high standards on myself. I've learned, start lenient, and then it's only up from there. It's like they say, don't get their expectations too high. Start low, and then it's only upward from there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like saving is anything that you can put aside. And again, you don't have to start off big. You don't have to be like, well, I need to be strict about a 40-60 saving goal or an 80-20 spend goal or whatever it is. I feel like anything that you can put aside is saving. And I don't know if anybody else thinks this way, but to me, when I put money in my savings account or like investment account or whatever, like that money's just not there. Like it doesn't exist to me. Like the only accessible money I have is the one that I can actually use, which is in my checking account. And past that, like it just doesn't exist. I don't have it until, of course, I need it in the future when I'm making a bigger purchase, whether it's a house, a car, whatever it may be. But like in my head, it's gone. It's not there. It's just not there. Like that number is there, but I don't know what it represents. It's just, I think I've just mentally trained myself to not think it's there.
Yeah, I think 100% that makes sense. Like that sense of discipline, but also that leniency in terms of like, I'm not going to be too hard on myself in terms of how much I can save, especially as I'm trying to figure things out. But yeah, like let's be a little disciplined and say, hey, I'm putting this aside. Let's not touch it. All things considered, though, I feel like it's important to say that, you know, again, we're super lucky that we get to even discuss how much we can save, how much we can try and maybe control our spending. A lot of people don't have that privilege where it's like, no, like things are very difficult and people are working 2 jobs, trying to make ends meet, where they don't have a lot of disposable income left over to even, you know, to even save. So I feel like the main message I would want to get out is, yeah, it doesn't look the same, like we said, for everybody, but I think we're on the page of be a little forgiving, regardless of what the situation is. I think we all tend to put very difficult, like, goals on top of our heads, like, constantly sometimes, and it gets very challenging in a world of hustle culture and, like, get rich quick culture, and, like, it gets hard. So I think the message is be lenient. Come at savings and finances from a place of motivation, but not lacking compassion for yourself and lacking some leniency.
1,000%. I agree with you. And I just to like end it off with, I think the biggest part is just be responsible, and whatever that looks like for you, just stick to it. Whether that's a spreadsheet, whether it's intuitive spending, whether it's, you know, just putting something aside and knowing that you're putting it aside for a saving, whatever it is, just be responsible with it. Just stick to it. Whatever that works for you, just keep going with it and be forgiving. You don't have to always be so strict on yourself and be like, oh my god, I didn't get to put this much, or I didn't save that like specific number that I set my mind on, and that's okay. And another thing I want to mention, just as we leave off like that whole hustle culture of, you know, get rich quick, I think it is such a trap sometimes, because of course everybody wants to get rich very quickly, but you know, I think it's just about being responsible and building it up slowly where you feel comfortable, but also enjoying your life, because, you know, it can go both ways. It can go very, very well, but it can go very, very wrong. So middle ground, responsible. And I think that's just the way.
100%. I think that's a perfect way to end it off. Like, here we are, like giving out advice like we know things, but we really don't. But point is, I think we're all learning day by day. We're taking it one step at a time, and we hope you will too.
Yeah. And that's it from us.
Bye.
Bye.